Staff present today is Interim Finance Director Robeck, Public Works Director Madden, Police Chief Hernandez, and Planning Manager Stolnicker. There are three items on the, there are three presentations today. The first is the Events Committee. Megan Sheridan will present this item. Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Your first meeting, and it's me asking for money, so just nod. It's great. All right, so as you all know, 6 of the 7 of us on events are new as of January 5th. I feel really loud, sorry. With that, has brought a ton of energy, new sets of eyes, new passion, past experiences, along with feedback that we've been actively gathering, trying to determine beyond what we've always done in Milton Days, the Holiday Bazaar, and a Santa event being kind of what the 3 events have been, but a lot of them being the same because of COVID. Right, we haven't changed back from why we made the changes in 2020. So that's why I'm here tonight, or this afternoon, to talk about kind of a combination of, yes, we would like money because we want to do some focus on some big things, including the 4th of July, which is America's 250th birthday. So first and foremost is whether or not council even wants to do that event. And if it's an overwhelming yes, it's the only time in our lifetime that we can do this, then that's kind of the reason for the request tonight. But also just really wanted to share with you kind of what our focus is, the conversations, the partnerships. So it's not me just coming up here saying, hey, write me a check. No, it is really truly building community and participation, volunteer opportunities, and for those who do know me, community and economic development is my passion, and bringing people together, supporting our local businesses within events is huge. So what we, after actually conversations with Chief, our focus for 26 as an event committee and within events is all about belonging. It isn't just a handful of people that always come because we do this, because that's how it's been done. It is now this focus of who are we? What is our community? How do we get people involved? How do we show businesses we want them to participate? And that every single person that lives in Milton and our surrounding community is welcome and feels that they belong. That's our focus, 100%. Layered with a lot of partnerships, a lot of conversations between police, public works, planning, the school district, parks committee. Trying to think, Jessica, who am I missing? There's just been a ton of conversations and excitement with a new kind of resurgence and excitement about what we can do. So I know you can't make any decisions tonight. I would love, though, kind of that feedback or questions on the 4th of July event. It is, again, America 250. It isn't just a one-day event, which obviously it is one day, the 4th of July, but they are, it's a national push, and then the state has its own committee, and then cities decide if they want to participate. But it's a layered 3-part with, ask you to help me remember this, or what we decided to do. It's to get community and civic engagement. So we've put a little bit of a twist on it, but it's a day before, like in June, I think we decided June, would be kind of a park community cleanup before school's out. That getting people together, and really, I think all the conversations have been around what assets the city has. Whether you call it the community park or triangle, everybody kind of has their own thing. That is a huge expanded asset that we want to bring people to and take advantage of it and leverage it in multiple ways, especially after the investment in the stage that this council did. So it would be a June cleanup and participation, the 4th of July 250 event, and then we're going to do supposed to be a civic kind of like coming to city council. Sorry, not that you're boring. We wanted it to be open to everybody, and so I think we're going to do a Saturday or a Sunday tree planting,
Yes,
right?
and that would be.
Thank you. Yes. Sorry, thanks for letting me put you on the spot. And that is in participation with the Parks Committee and Public Works, your entire team. So that's kind of what the overarching America 250 is that concept of bringing community together and celebrating something that will only happen once. For us, kind of the events that we've thrown out there is really kind of an old school, what a lot of us grew up with. It would start with Milton PD dressed as Captain America, we're hoping. Yes, great. And whatever other part of Chief's team and Chief want to participate, but it will be a kids bike parade coming down the trail, the paved trail in the park. So we are not shutting down Milton Way again, which I have, side note, committed to very reduced impact of closing down Milton Way. Kids all come down or whoever lands down in front of the stage, and then we'll have Declaration of Independence reading, which will either be Nils, the mayor, or he's not here. I was really going to go with, somebody out of the legal community reading that would be amazing. So I think it's kind of a toss-up of who wants to do that and who's available. But just, again, why are we all here? We want to do a community art project that really is all about the 250th, something we can keep long-term. Think kid handprints, creating a flag, things like that. And then your throwback, tug of war, hula hoop, lawn games, just that, like, what we all grew up with. And this is like an 11 to 4 daytime, mimicking what a lot of other communities are doing. Because we don't traditionally do a 4th of July event, we're not trying to replicate what people do with fireworks or anything else. Not to mention that we would be looking at about $50,000 unless we had a partnership with the Puyallup tribe step in. And I'm not sure that we're at a point we can do that yet. So that truly, combined with local businesses, is what we're looking at for America 250. I'm open to questions.
Could I give just a couple suggestion things too? Maybe?
100%, please.
So, have you ever heard of Touch a Truck events?
That is in my list next.
Because I know
Yeah.
my kids love all the ones that I've been to have been really popular with families and kids, and it's also helps kind of just get everybody some awareness and education on things, right? So,
Yes.
even just pulling a police vehicle or two, having a fire truck, having a school bus, having maybe something from the Public Works. My kids loved watching the electricians work on
Right.
just the power lines, any kind of, any of those things that we might have.
We do. So we actually, Touch a Truck, National Night Out, the yard sale. Those are the 3 big ones. Those are under Jessica with Community Outreach. We're actually stepping in. It's part of what the committee has said we would like to step in and help with additional volunteers and expansion of those. So yes, Touch a Truck is, yep, and it's going to become bigger, and we're moving it to the park.
Okay.
Working with, I'm just going to, do you want to come up here?
Yeah.
Dustin and his team are amazing, and the Parks Committee is, yes, it will be well expanded. If you have connections to big trucks, let us know.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I do have a neighbor I think he works for one of the fire departments locally, so I can check in with him. But even just bringing one to one of the regular, the other events could be fun. Like if you've been to the Puyallup Fair, a lot of times they have like that police display area where it's like there's a crash, you know, example of a crash thing. So it could just be something like that. And then you could also have like what public projects are coming up that we're working on, you know, and then like a little presentation that we could do if that sounds good. But it's a good way to at least kind of show people what the city's already working on and trying to improve for everybody.
Yep. I know, and so yeah, I was gonna say, I think so we do have a city booth, at least Milton Days, we might expand it. And it really, I know it's designed to like, hey, give us feedback, right? And just what can we do? I love the idea, Chief and I had talked about doing the impaired goggles, right? Which we want to add for like National Night Out, things like that. Because one, it's kind of fun.
Yep.
But two, it's that like, no, really, you can't smoke weed and do your edibles and then drive, right? So it is, yes,
Awesome.
absolutely that, yeah, everything's super, super layered.
Cool.
So yes, thank you. Anything else on America 250, questions, clarifying?
Yeah, so is the majority of it going to be at the community park then?
We, with the exception of the Holiday Bazaar, everything now that is a community event, between Jessica, Touch a Truck, National Night Out, is that the Holiday Bazaar? Yeah, with the exception of the Holiday Bazaar, everything's gonna be at the community park.
Okay, because I just had a concern about parking, which I'm sure you already thought about. Because when we had the stage opening, I think parking was a big issue.
Yep.
So,
Would you like me to tell you about my plan?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's actually Chief's plan and Dustin's plan. It's amazing how they're amazing. Oak Street, headed down the hill, so we will make it a one-way from the top of the park down. Nose-in parking. Correct me if I'm wrong. We are doing nose-in parking on that, wouldn't we?
Yes, so we're currently have a project in design to redo Oak Street. That would increase parking all along Oak Street, be diagonal parking facing down the hill. It will still be a two-way street, but then we also are going to be bringing a sidewalk from the bottom of Triangle Park where Kemper Playground is. And the project that is in design currently has that sidewalk extending all the way to the school.
Amazing. So until that's finished, what Chief and I have talked about, what Nils was onboarding, kind of helping to plan that safety strategy, is it would be a one-way where we would have that nose-in diagonal parking down Oak. Adds parking, we've got the parking at the school. Thanks for coming in, because Cheryl and I are working very closely with Superintendent Alfano and his team on leveraging partnerships, but the usage of their properties so that we can accommodate it and expand what we're looking at. And then the suggestion that came up, having, living on Milton Way that gets closed and having battled, volunteers that handle the street closures. What we're gonna do this year is hand out, everybody will have something that goes in their dash that says they live there. So whoever's handling the safety and road closures can handle that. We're not disrupting residents. So that is our interim plan for events moving over there while Dustin and team are finishing up. And then we've got, obviously all the school parking, we've got, what is that parking lot across from the VA? The memorial?
Oh, the community building,
Yes.
which is scheduled to be removed in the next week, if not today. Utilities are currently dislocated or disconnected.
He just handled some of
Nice.
your
All right,
parking.
sounds good.
So you just ask and it happens.
And it happened.
That is amazing. Dustin,
I do have a suggestion rather than a question. So do you
Always.
have anything for the pet parents?
the pet parents in general or the ones with controlled great animals?
The latter.
Okay. We don't know what those parents are like. We don't. So actually, not this year. It is on our 27 possible list. I think we have 10 events on that list. We want to go and see what Auburn does, want to read their rules and regulations on it. Auburn has done Petapalooza and all these other things and done it well. Have Trisha and I work together with WCIA, like what's our legality behind that? There's a lot.
Yeah, true.
I think we're gonna leave the dogs this year to just coming to City Hall every other Friday. That's my thought. But yes, we'd love to have it. We're just,
Councilmember Hall.
Yeah, try to raise your hand when you're, so we kind of get organized. Which events are you, the events committee working on?
so we have the three that we've always done. So
Milton Days,
Milton Days, the
4th of
Craft
July.
Bazaar. So the three we've always done are Milton Days, the Craft Bazaar, and what was the holiday tree lighting? So the post-COVID Santa parade.
Okay, okay. So, with 4th of July being very close to Milton Days, how are you gonna shuffle that around?
That's why it's pretty low impact and minimal on what we're doing, right? Because we're not needing to shut down Milton Way. We're doing the parade within the park. Everything is
Is there
minimal.
food? Is there vendors?
I mean, yes, there could be, but again, it's
And then what's the cost?
a great question. That's why I'm here. Because we could go create an event. We don't have any money to do it, right? So and that's why I'm here. Does council want an American 250 event?
Could it be we celebrate Milton Days and 4th of July at the same time? So you do it at Milton Days, where you have a separate event, or maybe that Friday is 4th of July.
We have already settled on how the expansion of what we want to do for Milton Days and expanded Friday night. To be honest, no, I wouldn't have this space. And we already are doing a parade. And it is it's pretty
Packed.
and we are trying as much as we want to expand and adjust. We know there are areas we have to expand or adjust. We don't want to fail an event that people are expecting, right? With the 4th of July, it's, hey, do we want to do this? First of all, it's the 250th one time. We don't necessarily need to do it again, but do we want to not do an American 250? So that's part of the question. And whether or not my committee puts the time and energy into that. Since you asked about adding on Milton Days, I do, can I share with you what we're expanding? Again, the Arts Committee, or Parks Committee, because they're amazing, are going to take over doing a pickleball tournament. So that will start on Friday, go through the event on Saturday, through Milton Days on Saturday, which again, like I'm going to repeat myself, we want to expand and highlight what this city has used tax dollars on and what we have. What are the benefits of being here in our park? So we've got up at the top, all the way down, filled. And then we will do a movie in the park, depending on money. It will need to be up kind of in the trees, up kind of ball field-ish, because the stage is not set where you can watch a screen until about 10 o'clock at night, unfortunately. So it will, any movies in the park, unless we're doing a midnight, which then we come into noise ordinance and we're not doing that, will have to be in the trees up at the top.
I would say, what is it gonna cost? I mean, we don't have it in the budget. It's not set in the budget. You guys are new. That's an extra burden on you, all of you, and I appreciate everybody stepping up and
Absolutely.
willing to do this. Believe me, you're putting yourself out there, and I really do appreciate that. Also, it would help if we can get notes on the meetings because I came in and I had nothing that was an even meeting, so it's really important.
That's been quite a conversation and frustration for my team. Well, and then we didn't understand how minutes were supposed to be done and signed. So we've been begging, just so you know, so that you understand that we get the frustration. We came into this, poor Jessica has taken us on without coaching or training.
I know.
We have no coaching and training. So literally, Dustin, Chief, Trisha, and Jessica have stepped up and supported us in the best way they can with, again, having no background for years. So I ask for a lot of grace in whether or not my minutes are perfect.
It's really important that when we come to a meeting that we have meeting notes. It's just,
Francis, I understand that. And we are doing our absolute best. But considering that I've got committee members that are now ready to quit because of how they're being treated, I'm just going to be really upfront and honest right now. I ask for grace. So I am, and that's why I'm here, is to fill in what we're doing, what our passion is, how we want to expand it, and how we want to make sure this entire community feels that they belong. So if the blanket statement across the board is there is no money, which you just said, then we will step back and work within the budget and understand that there is,
Can
we
you
are
give
way,
us
yeah.
a budget? Can you give us more than yes or no? Can you give us what it would, what's your vision? What is your high vision? What's your low vision? And so we have something to grab a hold of.
Absolutely.
Work with
So
that.
we have the budget, which is just under 43,000. I know, totally putting you on the spot, Michelle. Just under 43,000 for events.
Yes. That's-
So, right. That, keep in mind, is based on the way we've always done it with all the knowledge and everything that those 6 people had that quit. We have nothing. We have no relationships. We have no background. Jessica's trying to.
I'd like to comment on that though, because the former events committee has offered help. I've emailed them multiple times and they have been more than willing to share information. So
That's interesting.
I don't
Okay.
know where your frustration comes from, because I feel like I can get any information from them.
Great.
So as a city, and I mean, city council members, they kind of learn as you go along. So
Absolutely.
unfortunately, the way it is, you're not gonna know everything. Jessica's not gonna know how to do everything off of that first
And we wouldn't
meeting.
expect you to.
So, yeah, it's a learning process, so.
Yep.
And I understand with the meetings, there was frustrations and things, but I don't think it needs to be, it shouldn't be like you need to know everything right now, we're working on that. We're getting
Absolutely.
information. Yep, but I haven't had any problems with getting, I mean, April was, as your report is, I've emailed her a few times, oh yeah, just let me know when you need something, Lisa, let me know when you need something, so I don't know where your frustration comes in, because
It's not frustration, it's what the direct responses have been to me. So, I see your hand, one second. From a budget perspective, I have not spent any time to get an itemized line-by-line budget for America 250. What my hope is, and what we're doing in 2 weeks with Business Outreach Event, is that we have businesses that want to step in as partners. We may not need $5,000. We may not need $43,000. It'd be great if I could say, Michelle, we're fine. But also, we know if we want to bring back the holiday parade and the tree lighting, like that whole thing that everybody has talked about loving, that they wish was back, and do it at the park, there is some cost. And again, it's over and over and over. The one thing that people miss is doing a tree lighting. And strangely, I've spent a lot of time driving and looking at trees. When you leave, go up 11th, look at the big evergreen that's right next to the stage. That would be the tree that would be lit. That would, again, do the impact from the east to the west on Milton Way. I can't give you a budget because we're not spending the time on it. other than to say, we will do it if council wants it. Because we need to get people engaged immediately. And I've got a subcommittee on food trucks that are outreaching to food trucks. Yes, they would like to be involved. Are we doing it for free? We don't know. Because again, I think you guys have to set a budget and tell me what my fees would be if somebody is a vendor. So that's why, and again, it might only be a one-time thing. Which again, we do it one time, we look at it and go, no, we don't want to do it again. But the city didn't skip the 250th anniversary of the country.
Could I just have a little clarification on?
Yeah,
Hold on.
Yeah, please, sorry.
Can we please raise your hand to be recognized so that we can have some order to the meeting?
Yeah, okay, so when she calls on me, I should raise it?
No, when I call on you, so,
The mayor.
Address the chair?
Just the mayor.
Okay.
thanks.
Okay,
So, Councilmember Poor.
thank you, sorry. Was just hoping for some clarification. Is this for an existing budget that we kind of already have for events and the stuff that we normally do, or is this an additional request?
I will defer.
can I say yes to both? The 250, American 250 is brand new, well, clearly. So that would be, yes, that is an additional event cost. And I said $5,000 because I shouldn't need $5,000. But again, we also don't know what the cost is going to be for bringing all the Milton Day stuff because, I mean, just quick, oh, they came because they're my friend, that band. Oh, I got that food truck because of this. We don't have those relationships. So we may be looking at additional cost, but we're also doing like, you know, Cheryl's leveraging relationships within the school district. So we're kind of, we all come at it differently, but so it will definitely not be the way it's always been done. But again, we don't know what our costs were. Those costs have been, I think, the same and been pretty repetitive for the last 6 or 7 years. We all know where our costs have gone. So I do think there's, but we are being super intentional about this is what is in the budget. This is what I can work with. Michelle's given me kind of what the last couple of years look like, which is why we're going out to talk to businesses, invite them to be part of a conversation and not just events, like economic development. How do we support you? Safety, all of it. It's like an all-inclusive event. As soon as we have the postcards, I will get them to council in your mailboxes.
Councilmember Whalen?
Well, I just have a question about the events in the past.
Yeah.
Do we have, and this is for Michelle, do we have cost identification to each event? In other words, if we look at the Milton Days, we know what it's going to cost for the staff, for the park, and everything else we need to do. And that's, do you have all those numbers, or?
Yes, they are included in the community events fund in your budget.
Okay.
So it shows the previous year, the current year budget, the previous year, at the time, the current year projected, and then the 2026 budget. I know you probably don't have your, I think Councilmember Poor has, I just handed him his budget, but it's on page 50 of that document. But it does separate the different events. We have line items for Milton Days and line items for the Craft Bazaar and line items for the tree lighting.
And I was just curious if you have all that information. You do?
So we've got the budget, yes. And what Michelle is able to provide, 100%. And yes, I mean, Michelle's giving me everything I need.
I just want, just wanted to be sure that people that are involved with this have that information. And yes, it's in our budget, but now it's also your opportunity because it's going to not stay the same cost to do the
Oh,
same
100%
things.
it won't.
And
Correct.
you have to kind of factor in if this is enough or if we have to infuse funds for all the events we want to take place. And believe me, they're wonderful. And I like a new vision about
you.
what we can do to improve them.
Absolutely.
And in conjunction with other events, what can we combine that kind of saves costs? So-
Absolutely. Well, and that's, I mean, I think Cheryl can, attest to that as well. That's so much of what's happening is we come in and go, okay, we have to be the best stewards we can of taxpayer dollars, leveraging every partnership we can, volunteer opportunities, what can staff do or not? I mean, before we say, yeah, we could do a pickleball tournament, I was at the Parks Committee meeting. Are you sure we could do that? Would that work? Do you guys want to take it on? Chief, would Captain America go down the path? Absolutely. Like, we are, one, so blessed by all of you because they have that same passion of belonging and community and participation and partnerships. So leveraging everything possible while understanding we can't waste money. So how do we can we do more with less when costs have gone up? No. But also, and that's why I'm here, like, yes, if we want to bring back a huge beloved event of a tree lighting and Santa and with the partnership with the East Pierce Fire Department and giving out gifts and all the things that so many of you were a part of for a very long time, pre-COVID, it's going to cost us a little bit. But again, my hope is that this is just kind of an upfront piece so that we can make sure that we have the bands, the vendors, et cetera, and a buy-in. And it's what we're leveraging talking to businesses. Because we may not need all the money you've already said okay to, which we started talking business outreach like January 2nd.
Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. So when do you need an answer by as far as needing this? Do you need this today or?
I don't
what's the
think you can
timeframe?
make an answer today.
Okay,
Right? No action at today. Okay.
okay.
That's what I thought. I mean, I don't know if it's on the agenda for next week. I have no idea.
We could develop a consensus. People could give their feelings on whether we as a council would endorse a America 250 event or not.
Correct.
Can't hear everything.
If I knew you guys wanted to move forward and we said, okay, yes, events committee, go look at America 250. We're meeting with businesses in a couple of weeks. Here's an opportunity for partnerships. I'd love to come back next month's study session or any other time and say, never mind, I don't need your money. I've got businesses that have stepped in. But if it's not a consensus to even do the event, then it doesn't matter.
So I agree with Councilmember Hall as far as wanting more information, having, meeting minutes,
Absolutely.
et cetera. So if you could provide us like an itemized estimate, if that's possible.
I'm going to say no. I do not want to ask my committee to put time and energy into an event that council isn't going to want to say yes to. I'm not telling you to commit to money. That is not, and I didn't take that as what you meant by a consensus. If the consensus is, yes, we want to do an America 250, great. Absolutely. We've got a meeting tomorrow night. We'll dive in.
Okay.
And we can we're creating subcommittees for everything. I'm not saying say yes on money, like a consensus on money. It's not what I'm saying. But I don't want to ask my committee to step up and put energy into something that you guys as a whole are going to say, no, let's not do it.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I think we should have a consensus then for sure. Determine whether everybody's on board or
Yes.
the light.
I mean, that'd be
Otherwise,
amazing.
yeah.
Councilmember Mounts.
I have great memories of the bicentennial. I would love to see an America 250.
So you want to volunteer to make sure you pass on to the next generation that same event, right?
To pat,
I am just putting you on the spot. You do not need to answer.
I definitely agree with the commitment.
Councilmember Mounts, when you push the button, it's mute. So don't
I'd like to
press the
say
button.
that was intentional, but it wasn't, sorry. I would definitely be committed to supporting the training and inspiring of the next generation
Love it.
regarding our country's founding, present, and future. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Councilmember Roberts?
Thank you, Mayor. I also agree with the celebration as well. You have a lot of good ideas, and it only happens one time, right? So I'm on board for it as well.
Awesome. I'll add both of you on that volunteer list. I appreciate you. Right there with Chief and his bike and Bruce reading the declaration. We got this.
Anyone else have any comments about this issue? Councilmember Hall?
I would want you to succeed more than anything.
Thanks.
And I would say tone it down, make it good if you're going to do it.
Oh, gosh,
And
yes.
have a tight budget. It's got to be tight budget. We've got to have the minutes. We have to have confidence that it can work for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, my heart knows what you've put yourself out there for. So I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you. Oh, yeah. No, it is as minimal as we could do with creating, Councilor Mounts, what you just said, that you come away with memories from that. That's what we want. And I think that can be said across every event, that every single person that showed up felt they belonged and they take away a memory from this amazing experience that the city put on. And that is what every one of us that has stepped in believes.
All right. Well, thank you, Ms. Sheridan.
Welcome.
We will, I guess, wait to see what you guys come up with. And
So I should take away, there is a consensus to move forward?
I
I mean, I
heard,
got.
I heard a majority, yes.
All right.
Yes, Councilmember Tor.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that there is probably a lot of interest in more community engagement, like the 250th celebration. I just think that it would be helpful if we could know what kind of we're voting, trying to put the money towards. And I understand that it's probably very hard for them to want to put the extra effort on that. It's just, I want it to be successful as well. And it might help if we know what we're putting that money towards.
Right, and we're not being asked to decide that right now. The events committee is just asking for direction in terms of whether they should work on the event or not in order to give us a proposal.
Thank you.
All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a department overview, and Anjali Stallnecker will be introducing this item.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So we just, at leadership, we had discussed the fact that obviously there's a lot of new council members, and that might be helpful for everyone just to have sort of a quick rundown of each department, who's in it, what are your contacts, what we do, that kind of stuff. So we're just going to do a quick we just do department by department. We can just run through them all, or we can stop briefly with questions for each one might be appropriate. So the first one, since I kicked it off, I said I'd go ahead and cover administration for them as well. So obviously that includes the mayor, which is Bruce White, city clerk Tricia, which you've met. There's also the deputy city clerk, Nikki, and the community outreach coordinator, Jessica. And so within that department, you've got your city clerk, which takes care of all the council stuff, human resources, public records, business licenses, risk management, communication, recreation activities, and rentals. So that's sort of that chunk. So if you have questions on any of those things, those are sort of the people that you're going to for contact. So any questions on that?
Councilmember,
About
Yeah.
rentals, what specifically do we rent?
So we rent, basically it's just the MAC, the activity center.
Okay.
You can rent the whole thing or certain rooms. There's all in the fee schedule that's adopted by city council. Kind of usually once or twice a year, there's a whole list that talks about how much it's rented, depending on, is it during the day when staff is here? Is it after hours? Is it on the weekend? So at the moment, that's the only thing that we have rentals for.
Thank you.
yes, Councilmember Mounts.
Can we have a copy of your slide deck?
Yes, we were just finishing touches since a couple people were on vacation, so we will send that out. Okay, so anything from Tricia, do okay. Then I would just let Michelle briefly talk finance.
Thank you very much. The finance department is made up of 5 employees. The administrative assistant and the 2 finance technician ones primarily focus on utility billing and customer service and cash receipting. So the majority of our department is focused on basically utility billing. Myself and the finance technician too also do work like accounts payable, payroll, the annual budget, and the annual financial report and audit. And then, of course, all things that come up involving money here and there, we usually deal with. Does anyone have any questions or?
Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a question about the auditing. I'm obviously very ignorant to a lot of the processes. The audit, is that typically done internally, or do we have an external, like, third party that comes in and checks that out?
No, that's a really good question. Every year, we're audited by the state auditor's office. And they do both a financial statement audit and an accountability audit. This year, we are currently, right as we speak, going through the financial statement audit for 2024. They're almost done with that. And they are doing an accountability audit for 2022 through 2024. It's kind of a big one. And that's what they'll be discussing at the audit entrance conference.
All right, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Police chief.
Good evening. Just a quick overview of the police department. I'm Tony Hernandez, for those of you that don't know me, Chief Law Enforcement Officer for the City of Milton. Some of the collateral duties and responsibilities that I have, obviously, are enforcement of the laws of the state of Washington and the ordinances or the laws for the City of Milton that have been created by this legislative body or past legislative bodies. I'm the fire department liaison, where I frequently work with East Pierce and go over fire services in the City of Milton. Court services, we contract currently with the Puyallup Court for our courtroom. Many years ago, there was a courtroom here, but for logistics and space and support, we ended up contracting with Puyallup. So we do have a Milton court, but it's in Puyallup. And at that court is where our misdemeanor cases and tickets are adjudicated. And we have a judge down there as well. And we also have domestic violence advocates. We have language interpreters. So that is, and we have a city or court clerk also that provides court clerking services for the City of Milton. That contract is about $400,000 for all those services that they provide. We also have electric home monitoring. We have a judge. We do have a prosecutor that is responsible for misdemeanor prosecutions and tickets in the City of Milton. We also have a prosecutor at the felony level that it does not work directly for us, but is elected by the people of Pierce County, Mary Robnett. And when there is a felony committed in the City of Milton, it is the responsibility of the county to prosecute that case, and we're not responsible for those costs or that incarceration if it is a felony charge. But for misdemeanors, we are responsible. So you'll see that we do have jail services. We contract currently with Score Jail, Pierce County Jail, and Puyallup Jail. At any given time, we have between 2 and 5 individuals in custody for misdemeanor charges that are pending. When we do have long-term commits or people that have been sentenced after the case has been adjudicated, they might spend up to a year in a jail on behalf of the city of Milton charges. And so we do long-term commits. Those individuals we usually send over to Yakima or Sunnyside. And that's simply because the daily rate for jails is quite costly, can range from $199 to $350 a day. So for our long-term commits, we send them over to Yakima where it's about $60 to $70 a day. So our annual jail budget is about $250,000 to house misdemeanor individuals that have either been charged or have been taken into temporary custody while they stand trial. We also have dispatch, which all dispatch services are run through South Sound 911. We pay over $250,000 for that. We pay about $275,000 a year for dispatch services. With that, they also do the records management portion of our warrants and our record keeping for all of our metrics data. And every time that there is a call into 911, they're the ones that dispatch the Milton Police Department. We also have the camera program, which you're aware of. This is the first year that it's been in operation, and we continue to monitor it. And I'll be bringing you updates on how that program is proceeding and what those revenues are looking like and how many violators we have. And for the previous people that weren't here, I have been giving updates on that program, and you'll be getting another one by the end of the month. I'm also collateral duty responsible for the information technology for the entire city, and so I maintain the contract with Block Systems to provide all of our critical infrastructure, computers, all that storage and stuff like that. And that is housed in the police department. I'm also responsible collaterally for all emergency management services, should we have a crisis or a critical event. Also, the liaison and responsible for animal control services, which we currently contract with a Metro Animal Control Services, which is a aggregate board of partner cities that we contribute to animal services. Animal services is hosted by the Sumner Police Department, and then we are a part of that board. We also have interagency cooperation where we are a member of the Vance Collision. So if we should have a serious or fatality collision, we are able to surge past our capacity of our police department because those investigations can be quite complex and require a lot of manpower. So for example, if we were to have a fatality collision, we can add 10 members at the request. And those agencies, the interagency cooperation occurs with all small cities in the city of, or in the county of Pierce County. And then we also have an advanced homicide team that also is an interagency cooperation with all small cities in Pierce County that we are a member of. And so again, like we had our murder up here, we brought in 10 extra detectives from the surrounding jurisdictions, and we serve on those boards with the understanding of reciprocity and that we will assist those agencies should they request our cooperation. It helps all the small cities control their costs and have the ability to be able to handle those more complex investigations. We also are on the SWAT team for small cities. And so we do have the ability, if necessary, to request SWAT team support. And again, that would be all small cities from Pierce County would respond to our aid and assist us in a SWAT mission. That SWAT team does practice every month, and there are very tight controls and restrictions on maintaining a qualified SWAT team. So just at a glance, that's just some of the things that we do in the police department. And then there's a picture there. Currently, we have 16 police officers. There'll be a breakdown on the next slide. Out of those 16 officers, we have 3 that speak Spanish, and they are interpreters. We have one that speaks American Sign Language. We have one Middle Eastern translator for Arabic and various dialects in Persian and Turkish. And yes, we do use all of our translators quite frequently. You'd be surprised at the need in our community or surrounding communities. Because of the diversity of our department, we have a reputation, we're well-known. We frequently get requested outside of our city limits to assist other jurisdictions with language interpretation. And then on the next slide, we have 3 sergeants and the administrative chief, which he was at the last meeting while I was on vacation. We have an administrative assistant, Nils Luckman, who's a retired sergeant from the Milton Police Department with over 25 years of experience that handles our front window. We have one dedicated traffic officer that came with the camera program and is funded 50% by the camera program. So 50% of his time is spent administering the camera program. The other 50% is spent handling traffic concerns or issues throughout the community. We have 2 detectives which handle advanced investigations that are more complex, require more time, such as felonies, homicides, sexual assaults, pornography, sex trafficking, and on and on. We have 1 reserve officer, and that is a citizen at large that they volunteer their time, they don't receive any pay, and they go through a qualification just like a police officer does, and then they volunteer their service for the city of Milton. We have 1 chaplain who also is a volunteer. His name is Lance Circle, and he works for the East Pierce Fire Department and is the chaplain for the city of Milton. And we have a drug dog, and we've had very good success with our drug dog, and we have quite the reputation in Pierce County as being one of the most proactive and having the highest number of drug arrests and quantities of drugs recovered. And so we're quite proud of that program. And just for your information, to try to give you an idea of the volume that the Milton Police Department handles, last year we had 39,000 calls for service. Over 11,000 of those calls were from 911 specifically. So what does that mean? That means the other calls out of that 39,000 were officers that were actually out there being proactive, responding to suspicious people, doing traffic stops, doing patrol checks, checking other things that got their attention. So our officers are very proactive in the community and trying to safeguard this community. And then just as a little tidbit, 231 traffic accidents we responded to as well last year. So we stay quite busy with the number of officers that we have. And I think that's it, right? And certainly I'll be available for questions, and I still intend to meet with every council member and go into some of the more intimate details about the police department, where we're at, where we're going, and what the next 5 years look like.
Any questions for Chief? Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. So the 39,000, that's within the city limits?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. That's one of the things that every year I get a report that tells us how many calls and what the types of calls are. And so when I meet with you guys, I'll go over the different types of call types, from DUIs to animals at large, to arson, to sexual assaults, to residential burglary, to helping citizens, disorderly individuals, identity theft, fireworks, hospital guard detail, harassment, hazardous situation, incorrigible juvenile, kidnapping, liquor violations, overdoses, hit and runs, narcotics. I can go on and on and on. I've got a list here of about 100 different things that call types that we respond to. Yep.
Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you. Thank you for this information and the reports that we're seeing. But I'm going to ask a favor. Can I get a copy of just what we've seen just shown here? Because I do get questions and so forth, and I'd like to have what might be more accurate information than I presently store in my mind. So I think this information would be very good. And I think it's only 4 pages, you know, the whole report. Can we get copies of that? Good. I see the yes answer on your right shoulder.
Yeah.
Excuse me, on your left shoulder.
Before we go on, Councilmember Roberts, I was just reminded by our clerk that you need to bring your microphone closer so that you can get on the recording when you speak.
I'm sorry, so I could what? Because I couldn't hear you.
You've just done the right thing.
Ah, okay, okay, my apologies.
Okay. Councilmember Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just wondering, so my wife had alerted me to, there's been some complaints on like community pages about the new traffic cameras. I think specifically it was the one across from Safeway. There's like a big rock wall, and so a lot of people are finding it really challenging to be able to see the oncoming traffic. And so they end up like stopping a little bit further and getting dinged for it. Look, maybe you might have had some awareness of that maybe already, I assume.
Well, this is a new program, so we are in consistent evaluation. And so as citizens' complaints come in about the program, we look at those complaints and decide whether or not adjustments need to be made. And we have that conversation with our leadership team and the mayor. And it's just not my program. Public Works is integral. Finance is very integral into helping, monitor the funds and make sure that we're recovering the costs. And Public Works is very important to helping us with the sign placement and to make sure that we are giving adequate, appropriate notice so that people don't feel like somehow they're being tricked, so to speak, into getting a violation. So we are listening to those and we are monitoring those, and we will continue to do that. And if we need to, we will continue to make adjustments because we do have the ability to make some adjustments to where the violation gets triggered. The main concern is, in that particular corner, is when individuals go into the crosswalk, because we don't want to push the pedestrian traffic into oncoming traffic. And so the decisions of where the stop lines are placed was made based on what we were trying to accomplish as far as pedestrian safety. There have been some conversations around maybe more signage, because if you're down in Fife, for example, at one of their camera stops, there's a sign that says, with an arrow on 70th as you come across 70th and what is it down there? It's 70th and 20th. There's a sign right there. There's an arrow that says stop here.
Okay.
And then you can, and as long as you make that stop, then you can proceed out. But when what they're looking for is that there was a heightened awareness that the individual made the stop to look for pedestrians, then did their safety stop further out to make sure that, but that's the main thing, is pedestrian safety.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Any more questions? Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you. I just do have a question about how the funds are used. I do have an understanding that the funds used do go back to the infrastructure to maintain it and whatnot, but also too, the funds are going to be used specifically for traffic calming. They can't be used for anything else, correct?
Unfortunately, legislation was changed a couple of years ago. So people that had grandfathered programs were allowed to use that money to offset some of their operating costs, like the police department. For example, Fife is able to pay for like 4 or 5 police officers. Under the new legislation, because we did not have our program operational, the legislators said, nope, we want this to be very specific on and targeted for motor and pedestrian traffic safety only. So it goes into a special fund, which is dedicated so that it is audible, trackable, and so that any expenses out of that fund meet the legislative requirement. And so there, at some point in the near future here, I'm sure myself and Director Madden and the finance director will be getting together to have conversations about setting up what the capital projects would be to enhance pedestrian and motor vehicle traffic and traffic calming measures. And for the new council members, we do have a traffic calming program where we paid a consultant to come in, set the program up, and create mechanisms for citizens and the council to provide input to staff so that then we can take action. And now with the camera program, we have a funding mechanism to actually be able to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Councilmember Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you. During your presentation, you talked about kind of paying attention to drug enforcement quite a bit. My background is probation officer, and while I think our state's kind of direction to try and reduce arresting people for only drug issues is really nice in theory, but what from my experience is there's a lot of times other crimes being committed around those drugs, right? Whether it's assault, sexual assault, different, other things, distributing, all that. So I just want to say thank you for that emphasis, and thank you guys for your service.
Great, appreciate that.
Any further questions? All right.
All right, so back to me. So community development is my area that I oversee. The department covers myself, who acts as the manager of the department, as well as the principal planner for any of the land use cases and long-range planning that come in. We also have a building inspector, Robert Flint. He is currently, our desire is, historically, we've had a building official that does all of the aspects. We were unable to find a qualified person to fill that role. And Robert Flint we have hired him as a building inspector, and he is 1 year through a 3-year program that will make him a building official by the time he's done. So that's sort of our long-range plan. So he does all the inspections. He talks to people at the counter. He also does some minor plan review. But for any major review, we do use a third-party service, and I've listed some of the third parties that we use to give that more specialized, that way we don't have to have them in-house for plan review, and it's for buildings, it's called WC3. We also have a permit tech, which is Jaden Ripley. She is our frontline defense, inputs all the permits, and obviously deals most with the public. And then, like I said, because in order to not have to hire an expert on everything, we have multiple on-call contracts for building plan review. It's WC3 is West Code compliance, or code something. Engineering, both Public Works and the Community Development Department uses Grant Osborne. They know the ins and outs of, and they have vast knowledge of all the different various utilities and civil and stormwater, so we use them. We do have a backup on-call service for inspections, since we only have the one. For any bigger planning projects, we have a company called Framework. And for our critical areas, wetlands, if we need a specialist biologist, we have Grady and Associates. So basically, community development deals with all the private applications for private property development. So if it's a single family house, someone's remodeling, any of those are going to come into us. We do the subdivision approval, people who are dividing up their property. Anything that's a bigger project also has the land use zoning approval. So if you're doing apartment complexes, large commercial structures, they're going to also go through a land use process to make sure that their site meets all of our codes for landscaping, for design, for stormwater. It's sort of that central thing. And then obviously civil site development, once they've been approved to, let's say, put in an apartment complex, then they have to have the civil site development permits. We work obviously really close with both utilities and the engineers to make sure that work is done correctly. And then our department also does what's called long-range planning. So, and this also is hand in hand with the Planning Commission. That is the commission is a research body and a recommendation body for the city council. They have 7 people who are volunteers, again, appointed by the mayor, kind of voted and approved by the council. They review any changes to the zoning code. So we have the zoning code, which is things like setback, design, landscaping, tree retention, all those things. It also covers the dividing of the land. It also covers anything that's environmental, so our critical areas, ordinances, and stuff. So every year, the Planning Commission reviews various code updates. Next Monday, it's Monday a holiday, so Tuesday, at the next council meeting, the council gets to set sort of the work plan for the Planning Commission. So we'll show you what we've been working on, what we accomplished last year, what's carried over from last year, what we may want to add and suggest for this next year. And so that's there. It's also enforcement of the zoning and environmental codes. And then also compliance intake. So anyone who wants to complain about something, concerned about something, their neighbor, there's a form that we really request people to fill out online, and that comes in to Jaden, and then she will distribute that to the appropriate person. If it's someone building something without permits, we'll send out our building inspector to take a look. If it's something that we think is due to storm drain issues or a street issue, we'll contact operations and they'll go take a look at it. If it's land use, there's some different things, or nuisances, those go directly between myself and Jaden. So that's sort of the overview of the various issues that we cover. So if there's any questions on that.
Any questions? All right.
Okay, and lastly, we've got Public Works Department. And so we have 23 FTE. My name is Dustin Madden. I'm the Public Works Director. Up here on Upper Campus is what we call it. I've got my administrative assistant, Ken Fauché. His primary focus is contract development and bidding, and then also managing a budget from, just keeping me apprised of how much budget remains. He also oversees our professional service contracts. Then we've got an administrative assistant down below, Carlina Vetter, and she is the point person for everything that comes into the city that has an operational component. So if people have questions about water, power, storm, parks, all of those questions come in, and they will either get divided to one of those two individuals who are both phenomenal. If it's operational focused, it'll go down to Carlina. If it's more budget, upper campus, or overarching, or directly associated to a project or a vendor, then those come up to Ken Fauché in our office. We also have a project manager, Val Buzanoff, and he scopes projects, he develops budgets. An example of a project that he would manage internally is potentially a water line that we are replacing. Val would help us scope project costs. He would facilitate the bidding process and to get multiple bids. And then an example of that is the stage. When we went out to bid on the stage, Val was the point person on that project. He was the primary point of contact for both the contractor and any residents that had questions. We have an asset management and GIS coordinator, Axel. He's fairly new to the city, phenomenal individual, and he is going to help us improve our asset management program, which is, it was called Cartograph. It's now called OpenGov, but it essentially creates a 3D or a digital model of all of our city assets. So all of our water lines in the city, every manhole, every storm, every light pole. Those are all managed by his department. They're mapped, and then he is the point person for the city to make sure that all of our team members who are out in the field can access that information in real time, either through an iPad or their phone. So every water meter is identified in the city and mapped. And next, we've got our fleet manager mechanic, Alan Seguero, and he is the primary point of contact for all equipment, generators. He's a very tech-savvy individual, and so he helps with our speed signs and is really a jack of all trades when it comes to helping us work through issues that have a high-tech kind of component to them. On-call services, Gray and Osborne are our engineering, on-call engineering. They have been with the city for, I want to say, approximately 25 years, on and off. They have been involved in almost every project that the city has had here. And so they help us, whether it's coming up with sidewalk drawings to go out to bid, or helping us manage our storage tanks for water reservoirs and set points and how all of that works. They also run models for fire flow for us. So we work with them very closely on a day-to-day basis. We can go to the next one. Oh, anybody have any questions on this sheet? Okay, and maybe I'll wait till the end because there's a couple more here that are broken out. So next one is our electric department. It's currently comprised of 2 individuals, Jared Lee and Dana Pearson. We have an opening for a lineman position in that. We do have a temporary person that comes in and helps us on Fridays from another utility, and that is a way that the city has been able to continue to operate all of our electrical components, respond to emergencies, go do preventative maintenance and asset inspections. So they're inspecting all of our transformers, wires, poles, connection points, and that team works very closely with Val, our project manager, to scope any internal electric projects that we may have. Next is stormwater. We have Daniel Dyer. He is our stormwater compliance inspector, and Daniel's primary focus is stormwater plan review. So anything that is coming in on the private development side that will connect to our public stormwater system, Daniel will be on the front line of reviewing those, providing recommendations. He also will go and inspect all of those new stormwater developments to make sure they're in compliance with their plans and specifications. He also inspects and monitors all of our existing assets for stormwater, which are pipes, open ditch, drainage basins, flow control. Emergency response, if there is a spill, Daniel will be the front person to communicate with Department of Ecology, make sure that we are in compliance with any requirements with the National Pollutant Discharge Permit that we maintain through the state. And then lastly, but not least, is our operation component. So this is where out of the 23 full-time FTEs that we have, or full-time employees, about 17 of them are on the operations side. So this is what actually keeps the city running, and we're doing everything from distribution water to water quality, sampling daily reports for the Department of Health and the state. They manage and troubleshoot all of our water meters through the city and any water line issues. We have a couple of team members who have a high degree of experience in stormwater, so they'll work with Daniel. Any issue that he identifies, the stormwater crew will not only maintain that infrastructure, but they will help us scope projects for the flooding that happened up by the school. We're a collaborative group, and so we'll bring together myself, Val, stormwater compliance, and operations to scope those projects. Street department, we've got our street sweeper, potholes. We've got an on-call for overlay and pavement restoration. On-call meaning that we have a general contract with a vendor, then they will give us specific prices to accomplish tasks that we would like to accomplish. And as long as we have the budget, they have gone through the competitive procurement process. We've selected them based on quantities and cost of those quantities. So they will come out and do street overlays, or even they've done some sidewalk work for us, updating ADA ramps, that type of work. Parks, everything in the parks, we do contract with a third party for mowing and some weed management, but a lot of the detail work is done internally with our facility and parks team. Facilities, all the buildings that we're in, and just updating, making sure that everything is in working order. If there is any issues, lights go out. There was a blower fan in this room that the team fixed today. So I'm apprised of all those emails and coordination to keep our facilities up and running. Utility locates, that's a big one right now with Easy Fiber in here. Our team is required by state law to respond to utility locates and produce up to 700 lineal feet of locates per day. So that is, a burden on the team. Typically, it's not an overly cumbersome burden, but when you have a vendor coming in like Easy Fiber, who's, putting in 17, 20 miles of fiber in the ground, that turns into a full-time position that our operation team will absorb. And then lastly, emergency response. After-hours calls, responding to water leaks, power line outages. Our team, every day, 24/7, has somebody on call to respond to any of those emergencies, and those are routed through 911. Any questions?
Councilmember Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. I had just a compliment and then a question. So I got to meet Jared and Dana from the electrical division last week. They actually came out to my house and fixed the power line connection at my house from the service. And they were excellent. They were wonderful. They did bring up some confusion on, because so basically what happened is I lost half of my circuits because one of the main lugs from the service coming into the house, the connection had gone bad. And from what I understand, that was kind of increases the risk of fire because of the way the electrical works. Anyway, when I called, I looked on the website for major power outages and stuff like that, and it's kind of was like I had to leave a message, and they were kind of confused, maybe thinking that there might be a way to improve the process of how to get the call directly to Jared. I think there's a way to maybe get a hold of him, but we weren't sure exactly how to do that from the website. And so I just was bringing that in case, something like that happens in the future. Maybe we could make it more clear, like for like an emergency thing, this is who you call for like right now kind of thing. And for emergencies, it did route me to like South Sound 911. So and that might already be in place. I just figured I'd bring it up.
Thank you for bringing that up. I would say that there's room for improvement in the clarity of our website and simplifying things. In theory, all of those calls and emails should go down to Carlina, the admin assistant, and then she creates a work order, which will go out to the subject matter experts, whether it's electric, storm, water. But we have made an internal group now that we have decentralized our control over the website, and we've got more people providing input, and we have an internal team looking at ways to simplify that for our residents and users, and also making sure that it is adaptable to a mobile platform, because most people are on their phones these days when they're trying to find contact information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you. This is a little bit of a side note, if you don't mind. Gray and Osborne, about 2003 or 2004, shortly after I got on council, I went down to visit them. And when you walk through their front doors, they've got a long row of 4 foot high or 4 foot high and 3 feet wide. I'm not sure if that's the actual dimensions. And in the middle of it was Milton, 3 big cabinets. I suspect there's another 1 or 2 up there. They've done a lot of work for us. It's a good company, and we've always been appreciative of them. Geez, now I lost the second question I had here, but it's more of a comment than a question. I don't remember it distinctly here. There was a lot of conversation going on, so I'll ask that at another time. But
If I may just speak to the importance of Gray and Osborne, the city doesn't currently have a city engineer. That was a position that we had open for approximately 3 years, and we were unable to fill it. It's a very competitive market, and the private industry was just absorbing most of those qualified individuals. And so at that time, we decided to bring Val on as our project manager. He's got a background, he worked for PSE, and so he had a background in both civil engineering, construction, and electrical. And so that was a way that we were able to kind of bolster our internal subject matter experts and project delivery team without having a city engineer. The other thing that I just, everyone might not understand, engineers typically focus in one area of expertise, whether it's civil, drainage, water. So having this on-call relationship with Gray and Osborne gives us access to all of their engineers. And so we are able to leverage that and get great feedback from that team. An example of that would be a project that we are almost ready to go out to bid for, which is Hill Tower Park. We worked with another engineering firm to do the design for that. We went through the competitive process. We determined that we would go with another firm, but Gray and Osborne is still working on the city's behalf to make sure all of those inlets and outlets on the storm system, everything is designed appropriately and to industry standard. So I couldn't be happier with Gray and Osborne and the way that they support the city.
They know our history quite a bit, and I
Yes.
remembered the second question, and I don't mean to burden everybody with these simple questions. I think it was 2 years ago, we bought a new remote-controlled mowing machine, and I'm calling it that because I don't remember the name. How has that turned out?
It was the first one on the West Coast, and we have other municipalities coming and visiting our sites, and it is working fantastically. Not only have we reduced the risk to some of our team on these critical slopes and down in these storm ponds, but we've also, the biggest savings for the city, I guess first, we purchased that robotic mower through our Department of Ecology capacity grant. So that was how the city moved forward with that purchase. It's got a large deck, it's got articulating wheels, and so it can pretty much handle any slope. And we've been able to go from 4 people cleaning a storm pond to 2. One with the remote that's driving and one offering, visual support.
I'd like to see it operate at one particular time. It's a large mowing machine, remotely controlled. And I'd just like to see that sometime, yeah. That's awesome. No, but it's just nice that we have new folks and so forth. And that was one of the most surprising, I should say, investments in the Public Works Department. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mounts?
I just want to say thank you for your department and all that you guys do. Every time I've had to call, you guys have been right there, cheerful, happy, and even come back and knocked on my door and checked on me. So
Wonderful.
it's been great.
Thank you. We do put a high priority on customer service here at the city in many of our avenues, whether it's PD, finance, public works, planning. That's always a focus of ours.
If I can follow up and say that I'm also grateful that Chief Hernandez employees have never had to come knock on my door. So.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to the third presentation. This will be given by Chief.
Good evening, Council. I wanted to take a moment to speak directly to you and our community during a time when many in our community may be feeling uncertainty or concerns related to immigration enforcement activities occurring nationally and in parts of our states. I have spoken with some of our council members regarding the activities that they've seen on TV and across the country and in various states throughout the United States. So what if ICE should show up, and how would we respond? From what I have seen around the country, simply choosing not to respond when federal agents are involved is not a solution. Our responsibility as a local police department is to remain present to protect everyone involved and to help ensure that situations do not necessarily escalate unnecessarily. The Milton Police Department is proactive and community-oriented, and we, when appropriate, will act as professional mediators and attempt to manage any intense encounters before they turn into something more dangerous. In moments of high emotion and uncertainty, having trusted, accountable, local law enforcement officers on scene can provide stability and help prevent misunderstandings or conflict. Many police departments, including ours, invest heavily in de-escalation training, crisis intervention, and community policing. because we know that aggressive or militarized responses amplify fear, mistrust, and tension. I have personally observed the use of force situations spiral out of control when communication breaks down or there is a lack of local police response. We will not let that happen in our community. For residents, for officers, for all the individuals involved, we are committed to protecting the public and reducing the likelihood of violence and ensuring that every situation is handled with professionalism, restraint, and respect. As far as cooperation with ICE, your police department mission remains clear and unchanged, and it is to protect the public and uphold the Constitution and serve every person in our community with professionalism, dignity, and respect. In accordance with Washington state law, including keeping Washington Working Act, which was passed in 2019 by our legislative body in Olympia, I want to make it clear. Our department does not engage in civil immigration enforcement. We are not federal law enforcement officers. We are non-political. As law enforcement officers, our fundamental duty is to serve the community, safeguard lives and property, protect against violence, disorder, or intimidation. We respect the Constitution and the rights of all to liberty and equality and justice. Our officers do not ask about immigration status when responding to calls for service, and no one should ever hesitate to contact the police department for help because of who they are or where they come from. We want every resident to know that when you call 911 to report a crime or ask for assistance, our focus is on safety and lawful conduct and ensuring help is provided without bias or fear. Trust between the police and our community is essential, and we must have that trust to allow us to prevent crime, to respond to emergencies, and to help the most vulnerable get the help they need and to keep everyone safe. Our officers work in a complex environment, but they are guided by the constitutional principles that protect individuals from unlawful searches, seizures, and detention. Professionalism, accountability, and respect for civil rights are the core and the norm of everything that the Milton Police Department does and will do. I want to emphasize a safe community cannot be achieved by law enforcement alone. It requires a partnership. And I ask our elected leaders, our community organizations and organizers and residents to work alongside us to promote calm, lawful dialogue and to reject violence or intimidation directed at anyone, including public servants who are doing their jobs. The Milton Police Department is committed to transparency, collaboration as we serve this city together. And never forget that together we are stronger. And so I just wanted to address some of the questions or concerns that have been brought to me in the police department and as your chief law enforcement officer. And also with that, I have a handout that I printed out that talks about the new law, or not the new law, but the law that was passed in 2019 by your legislators. And it says, know your rights with police and federal immigration authorities in the state of Washington. And this is provided by the Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network. And I think it is a very useful tool that you can share with your friends and neighbors and answer any kind of questions about what you can expect from the Milton Police Department. And so with that, I will open up to any questions, and I'll pass this around so that everybody can have a copy.
Any questions for Chief? Councilmember Mounts?
So how big of an issue is it in Milton? I know that my teenagers are asking me a lot of questions. Is there a lot of activity here or complaints or concerns?
There are a lot of concerns because everybody is watching what they see on TV and in social media. And so it's created a climate of fear throughout our country, throughout our community. And so everybody is, well, what if? What if it happens here? What is the police department going to do? How are we going to handle it? And the biggest takeaway is that some jurisdictions across the country, the state, have taken a hands off, which is they're not going to show up, which I think is the absolute wrong thing to do, because you need your local police to be there to keep everyone safe and to de-escalate the situation. And we also have, or should have, I know in the city of Milton we do, other jurisdictions might not be as fortunate to have that trust and be held in high regard in their community as their protectors. And so we want to reassure our community that should ICE be out there or show up, that we will be right there. And we would expect our citizens to call us 911 and let us know if they believe that there was an ICE activity. What I would say is that they are supposed to do deconfliction with whatever jurisdiction they're responding, so we should know ahead of time. But like all organizations, there are bad actors, and you are seeing some things happen in the news where people are doing things that are not, don't reflect law enforcement. And they paint all law enforcement in a bad light. And the one thing that I would say is that when I see these things, or other law enforcement officers, police officers see these things going on across our country, is they hate it, because we've worked very hard, we worked very tirelessly to build rapport and trust in our communities so that we can work together. Because I've spoken with some of you, and one of the things is that law enforcement is not 100% answer to all of society's problems, but we can be a good partner. And 99% of what law enforcement does is social work. It's responding to people in need. 1% is the actual taking somebody into custody. Most of the time, 99%. So think about that. If you were to put that into an hourly thing, 23 hours of our time and service is spent just responding, helping people in need, in crisis, that something has happened beyond their control, that they've asked a third-party person to come in and try to de-escalate whatever the situation is, or provide whatever emergency services are necessary, whether that's directing them to the hospital, whether that's stopping victimization or a violent assault. And so it's so important that the community understand that we cannot do our jobs if the community does not trust us, respect us, and at the same time, we have to meet them at 100% of transparency to know how we're going to do things, why we do things the way that we do, and to know that they will be treated with respect at all times.
Any further questions? Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief. I really appreciate everything you've said. It's definitely eased some of my concerns. And I want to thank you for our conversation that we had a while back about that concerning this exact situation. And again, I was definitely comforted with what you had to say. So we all are, having this police force that we do, we're all very fortunate, because as I spoke with Chief and got to learn about the force and some of the values that the force has, I definitely appreciate all that. And thank you so much for what you do and what you will do in the future. So I know the community also expresses the same sentiment that I do. And I've also have forwarded some of the responses that you have given me to some of the community, and they are reassured as well. And also expressed that our force is very diverse with their ability to translate, as you explained. We even have a person that knows sign language as well. So the ability to communicate with our community is there. So again, thank you for that. That being said, I want to know if we have some plans on having any kind of comments or something forward-facing to our community to basically express what you just said. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody here to absorb that, or maybe there's somebody online. But my point being to express what you just said in our website and our Facebook. I don't know if Jessica could, say a brief comment of something of the sort to echo your what you just said as well. So.
Yeah, I think that definitely we can put something out on our website. I'll have a conversation with the mayor, because obviously I work for the mayor, but I work for the citizens at large, but the mayor is the day-to-day operator. But I think that it is important that we are forward-facing and that we're very transparent, and that to ease our community's concerns or their loved ones or anybody that might be in a position of feeling vulnerable, that they know that, hey, our police department is not going to turn a blind eye in their time of need, and they're going to be forefront and right there to try to mediate, to de-escalate, to make sure that the situation doesn't evolve into a chaotic scene and somebody gets hurt unnecessarily.
Councilmember Poor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you for your presentation. I also appreciate what Councilmember Roberts just spoke about, kind of the transparency issue. Having worked in law enforcement, I appreciate how interagency collaboration is a point of emphasis for you. For example, you guys are out in our community all the time, right? And so you may have had an interaction with this family or this person directly, right? And so if ICE is already coming here and they're going to take an action, and working with them and helping make that contact could reduce the risk of a safety issue, right? So instead of people they don't know coming to their door with guns, people who actually do know them coming to their door and trying to help make their neighborhood safer, them safer, even the individual that's being arrested, is really important. And I just wanted to say thank you for making that a point of emphasis.
And I will tell you, we have come across some very bad actors as far as MS-13 in our community, and talking to the community that they were nested in, we had conversations with them, and they had expressed that they were afraid for their lives, and that's why they didn't let anybody know. This was a number of years ago, but still, we do have some very bad actors that prey on the vulnerable migrant community because they terrorize them. So again, we don't want anybody that is in a migrant status feeling like they can't reach out for emergency services or for help. That is the last thing that we want to happen. We want people to always feel comfortable with their local police department.
Councilmember Roberts.
Just wanted to add a personal comment along those same lines. So when I was doing a community outreach last week, we were reaching out to some of the homeless in Federal Way. And when we were approaching some individuals, obviously they were kind of skittish because they had no idea who we were, but we were just wanting to offer them help. So what they were expressing was during these times, you don't know, who's who. So to add to, what you just said there, another example of this, this particular federal agency showing up and causing fear in the community is people that need help might not be getting that help, whether it's, from outreach or people just wanting to report something along those lines. So, yeah, it's very important that we keep the open conversation, that our community feels safe, that everybody's able to report anything, see something, say something, as you always say. So unfortunately, right now, some people see something and are not willing to say something for that fear. So I just wanted to express that personal issue there.
All right, we should probably move along. We got one regular agenda item left on our agenda. It's the exempt employee policy discussion. And this item, Interim Finance Director Robeck will be presenting.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The exempt employees personnel policy was last discussed at the regular City Council meeting on January 20th and the Finance Committee meeting on January 28th. A revised policy is now being presented for further discussion. Changes to the policy presented on January 20th are highlighted in green and summarized in the agenda bill. They include some language changes and a change to the sick leave compensation. Other changes previously presented include changes to longevity pay and vacation leave, and comparisons with the Police Guild contract and the IBEW agreements are provided in your packet as well. Those are the only comments that I had prepared, but if you have any additions or if you have any questions regarding or suggestions for changes, this will come back to the next regular council meeting for approval.
Any questions for Interim Finance Director. Robeck, yes. Councilmember Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a quick question. Could you give a brief summary of what was discussed during the Finance Committee meeting on the 28th? Obviously, it was this year, but were there any additional specifics that we may need to know about?
Sure, that's a great question. Yes, we did. We talked about the items that have appeared to be of concern to other council members and the audience, but we primarily focused on the sick leave compensation. That seemed to be the section that most people had commented about. So there were some minor language changes, but it really was focused on that sick leave compensation. The other bigger items that had been presented before, such as the longevity pay and the vacation leave, those two, the vacation leave is an exact copy of the IBEW contract, and the longevity pay is actually a little bit lower rates than the other two agreements. Your exempt employees receive it a little bit earlier, but the rates are slightly lower. So the biggest item that we talked about at the Finance Committee, and it seemed to be the biggest item of concern, was that sick leave compensation. What we talked about at the Finance Committee was actually the Finance Committee in general seemed to show support for a little bit a better sick leave compensation than what is being presented tonight. After discussion at our leadership meeting, following that Finance Committee meeting, the leadership committee as a group, or the leadership team as a group, thought it may be more prudent to bring a policy that directly aligned with another agreement. It may have more widespread support. So that's what we've done with this sick leave compensation. It exactly matches the police guild agreement, with the exception of it adds a minimum of 10-year service to that.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Oh, Councilmember Mounds.
Thank you for your efforts in putting this together.
All right. Gee, I thought we were going to spend more time on this. I'm
Oh, we could do
I'm
that.
happy we're not. All right. Before we close out the meeting, I just wanted to let the public know, or remind the public, that next week Monday is a holiday. So our regular council meeting will be on Tuesday. So feel free to attend. You're always welcome. And seeing that all agenda items have been concluded, I adjourn this meeting at 5:44 p.m.